Hello and welcome to another FF lifestyle vlog. In today's vlog, I am so stressed I'm about to poop my pants. So that is where we're at. It is the big day. It is D-Day here for Greenie, my 4runner. And what I mean by that is we just got in probably about, I want to say, let me try to get the, man, whenever the face tracking is on, it's going off. Whenever the face tracking is on, I can never control this gimbal. We got the bumpers. We got all of the stuff for, or from Victory 4x4. And I got this when we were in Salem. So this is now going on like 4 or 5 weeks that I've had this stuff here, and I messed up. I'll be completely honest with you guys. I don't know what I was anticipating, but the wait time scared me a little bit because I'm like, okay, they're like 7 weeks out. Just get it all now, right at once. I had saved up the money. Just do it now. And I should not have done that. I am realizing now that what I really should have done is ordered a bumper. Take off the bumper. Put on the bumper. Did that all go well? Okay, now order the next bumper. Put that on. Did that go well? Order the next thing. That's what I should have done, because this has now turned into a very overwhelming mess that I just don't know how it's going to go. So I don't have all of the tools that I'm going to need to get this off effectively. What I mean by that is I know we're running into stuck bolts. I know we're running into issues. So I am driving all the way down to Boiling Springs to meet with a very, very good friend of mine, a longtime friend of mine. And he does a lot of off-roading stuff for Jeeps. So he is going to help me today try to install the front and rear bumper. But I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know how it's gonna go. Like I said, I'm like sick with stress because I'm just worried that I'm gonna get all the way to Boiling Springs. It's not gonna come off. I didn't get the right parts. I don't have enough parts. I don't know. So I'm gonna take you guys along with me. We're gonna go over as much as I can, but I know with how much is gonna be going on today, I'm not gonna film too much of the work. I'm gonna just kind of film clippets and shouldn't have done it. I should not have got all this at one time because, again, I'm limited on time right now, and this is a lot of work. This is a lot of work, and the problem is I live in the Rust Belt, man. It is not like this stuff isn't just bolts aren't just coming off like that. One bolt is taking like an hour, and we only got about 4.5 hours, 5 hours today. So first step, I gotta figure out, if I can make a comment to Victory 4x4. I don't know what the hell is in these boxes. So I don't know if this box here is a swing out for a rear bumper or if this is a skid plate. And I need to figure that out, to figure out what to put in my car to drive all the way to Boiling Springs. So I did get some lights already, and I know everyone's gonna be like, oh, you messed up, you didn't get the right ones, but I went to Harbor Freight. So I got the Harbor Freight Road Shock LEDs for my 3x3 fog lights in the front and the rear. I got a floodlight for the rear and a spotlight for the front. And then for my light bar in the front, I just went to AutoZone and picked up the Blazer International 20-inch light bar. I got their wiring harness for that, and then I got the wiring harnesses for the Road Shock stuff. I don't know, guys. I don't know much about lights, and I'm, from everything that I've read and how little I'm really going to be using these lights, because again, it's just kind of a camping vehicle. I'm not doing a ton of overlanding and off-roading with it. I think this is going to be fine. Will I regret this? Time will tell. So again, first step, let me figure out how to get this stuff in Greenie. So the other thing that Victory 4x4 did, which I'm happy they protected all the product, but it's very difficult to figure out what the hell's in these boxes. But they all have that like hardcore formed foam around all of them. So not only are they not labeled, I can't see what the hell's in them. So we're gonna bring, to the best of my knowledge, what's gotta be in these boxes. So I know these are swing outs. I know these are swing outs. The rear bumper fits. The front bumper with bull bar fits. I know that is hardware for either the front or the rear bumper. I don't know what that is. I'm assuming it's hardware. I don't know what that is. So I'm gonna try to open it a little bit, see if I can see. I'm almost positive, because I ordered a skid plate, that this is the skid plate. This is roof rack stuff, and this has to be the rock sliders, because there's 1 and 2. I'd almost guarantee it. So I'm going with that. If I mess up, I'll be crying later in the vlog, but I'm gonna try to see if I can fit this in the car, and then my winch, lights, all the wire harnessing, I'm gonna try to fit in the front seat. We got it all amazingly in the back seat. I got my winch, I got my lights, bumpers, I got even this light bar that's supposed to go on my roof rack, but I got it as a backup also, just in case this one doesn't work. I even got the whole front seat open, and surprisingly, I got to give a shout out again to Greenie as usual. I'm expecting the bumper to be hitting the tire, and although it is low, it's doable. So I'm gonna drive slowly on the highway, and we're gonna hope for the best, and let's make our way to Boiling Springs. I ended up moving the winch to the front seat because I'm like, I don't know that I want to have, I realized after putting the winch into the back portion of the trunk, it was like way sagging the left side. So I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. So I distributed it a little better. The goal for today is not to wire anything. I want to get the wiring harnesses kind of set up, put through the car kind of into the area that the battery is at, but I am all out of quarters when it comes to money right now, and kind of everything was exhausted to do this. So no more in the budget for the 4runner, and I just can't afford another battery right now, which I'm going to need to do all the extra wiring and the winch wiring and all that stuff. So we're going to get that all staged. Most important part is seeing if we can get these bumpers off, new ones on, fog lights and everything installed. Wiring ran through, but no new battery and not officially wired in yet. We're going to do the wiring at a different time when I save up some more money. Hell, that might even be ultimately next season, like in the spring. So I got to just kind of see where we're at. All I'm hoping is that by the end of today, when I'm back in this car with you guys, I'm staring at at least a cool front bumper, okay? If we don't get both of them on, the rear bumper, I got both of those broken bolts. I'm not expecting too much out of that, because 2 broken bolts are already hard enough to get out. He's got way more tools than I do and way more experience than I do, so maybe that's not going to be the case, but 1 bumper would be a huge win. We're here at my good friend's house, and this is probably, hopefully, the last time you'll be seeing the 4runner in this configuration. We're going to prioritize the front bumper first, maybe make our way to the rear. Let's get after it. We have the front bumper off, folks, and ultimately pretty much carefree. About an hour, not terrible.
Real nice. Right here and just shoot straight out of his
first major or minor hiccup, depending on how you look at it. My good buddy ran to Harbor Freight with my card to try to get a new light bar while I'm here installing some lights, but we got these drilled and good. And so what I mean by that is the hole on the other side of this is through. We had to drill a hole there and there in the frame, so we have both of these mounted up and ready to go. I'm a little pissed right now because I was told by the sales guy at Victory 4x4 that a 20-inch light bar is what you want to go with for here, no less than 22, or I'm sorry, no more than 22 inches. And a 20-inch absolutely does not fit in there. So I don't know why he said 20-inch, but that's just not going to work. So we're off to get a 22-inch, but then I had asked what his recommendation for a winch was. He had said the Warn Evo VR 10S or whatever, and that is exactly what I got. And it just, like, it just doesn't seem like there's any way that this would fit. So let me show you what I mean. So as you can see, like, I'm almost to the holes, but obviously this whole top part is not gonna work. So I'm gonna ask my buddy, because he knows a lot more than I do about winches and all this stuff. I don't know if there's a way to, like, take this off or remove it. All right, guys, it is now about 10 o'clock at night. We've been going since about 12 o'clock, so going on almost 10 hours to get this damn front bumper on, but we got it on. We got it wired. The lights are working. The Warn winch is working. I at first thought we were going to have an issue with the control box, but we actually ended up just mounting it on the top of the bumper, drilling 3 holes and mounting it there. We got a new light bar from Harbor Freight. 20-inch not going to work. A 22-inch is what you need. The Harbor Freight lights are looking awesome. Rear bumper, no way. So we're going to do that at a different time. But Greenie is looking pretty damn good. 11:30 at night. Got to my buddy's house at 12:30. What a long day. And it's always hilarious to me because these install videos, like the Victory 4x4 one is okay on their website, but it's like 9 minutes, you know? They just, hey, take it off, put it on, and you're done. And, you know, that's just never the case. So what ultimately ended up taking us the longest time, surprisingly, was not removing the bumper, factory bumper. That was relatively easy. The biggest problem was the wiring of, that's kind of what I forgot about the front bumper, is we had the winch, the light bar, the fog lights, everything needed to get wired up, and that was really time consuming. The wiring harnesses were time consuming, and we didn't even finish all that. We did wire up the winch, all that is working. We ran out of time to wire the blinkers in the bumpers, and in doing that I realized those were not working, and actually my regular blinkers in both headlights were burnt out, the bulbs themselves. And in trying to mess with those a little bit, I lost blinkers completely. My buddy was trying to, you know, it was late, dark, and we were trying to work with some wires, and we ended up blowing the blinker fuse, the turn signal fuse. So I tried to get one at a gas station, couldn't find one, had to make the drive all the way home with no blinkers. So thank God didn't get pulled over on that one, and now I gotta fix those in the morning and replace the bulbs, and we should be in business at least for a week or two until we can get the rear bumper on. Okay, it has now been exactly 1 week since I last worked on Greenie. I, as you guys saw in the last clip, was incredibly tired, and in doing a little bit more throughout the week, what I found out was that actually the older 4runners did not have blinkers in the headlights themselves. They only have fog lights, and on both of the sides, both headlights, the fog lights were blown out. So I did get new bulbs in those, realized that, oh, great, those are not blinkers. I had the good old FF Pocket Smith come over and help me out with wiring my blinkers inside the bumper. Hope those are going to be okay and legal. I don't know. I mean, the last ones were in the bumper, but they were obviously a lot larger. These ones are smaller, but they're LEDs, so, you know, should be okay. And they are, because of what we did and removed, they're constantly in a state of the fast blink, which is a little annoying, but again, it's not a daily driver, so it's not like the end of the world, but I just want to make sure it's road legal and don't have any issues in that department. 20 degrees right now, and we are going to try to do the rear bumper. It's about 8 in the morning. We're getting started way earlier today rather than last time where it just went way, way, way too late for everyone involved. We're going to try to start this one earlier, and it's just going to be brutally cold, and we're in kind of an impasse. It's December 1st right now, and it is, I think it's December 1st. It's either November 30th or December 1st. Regardless, either way, it is December, and it's only going to get colder, and my rear bumper is at my buddy's house, and it's in the way, and there's stuff everywhere, so we kind of got to get this done, and it's gonna be one hell of a time. We are about 9 minutes out from my buddy's house in Boiling Springs, and the nerves are setting in. I am so freaking nervous about these two damn bolts in the rear bumper. My biggest fear is that we're gonna break the actual, like, welded on, it's not a nut, it's like a threaded insert welded into the frame, and they are corroded, those two bolts. So the frame is bad in the back, but it's not unsalvageable or anything like that. There's no rust holes. There's rust, but there's no rust holes, and it's definitely usable and savable, especially for a Rust Belt car. But man, I just know how corroded those are. So my buddy is real good at this stuff, way better than I am, and also has a lot of little tricks and things to maybe get those out. He's got all the torches and Croyle and all the good stuff. So we're going to try a bunch of different options, and you know, the one thing I am pretty happy about when it comes to those bolts is the fact that those are it's the first thing we got to do. Rocking a Reign this morning, which I normally don't do, but in this case, I just need the extra caffeine. The Reigns have 300 milligrams of caffeine. They all taste like crap, so I don't know, but it does give you a little bit of energy. Got the hand warmers in. The bolts, if you will, in question here are right there, and you can see just how corroded up those are. So that is the first step, if this is even going to be feasible today, or those two bolts. So let's see what we can do. All right, we had to make our first Harbor Freight run. The first go, what we tried was Croyle, heat with a torch, and then driving a punch into it to try to use the punch to back it out, and there was no way that was budging. So we went to Harbor Freight. I picked up some snacks at Sheetz, the gas station in Pennsylvania, and we got a impact, like, flathead to drive out the screws, stuck screws, and then I also got an extraction kit, the really, really beefy one that should work with an impact driver. So we're going to try those, and it's really going to be the decider for the entire day. If we can get those off, as I've been saying this whole part of the vlog, we're going to be able to put the bumper on. If those take too long or are not coming off, those might very well take the entire day to try to get off. So these two freaking bolts, man, these are going to be the decider. It is the day after we conquered the rear bumper for Greenie. Oh my God, it ended up taking, you ready for this? 13 hours. And as you could imagine, I stopped vlogging out of quite a bit of frustration and just so really frustration is the only word for it. But as you can see here, I have the Falcon Wild Peak Tire Method wheels, and then of course this is the Victory 4x4 rear bumper setup. Now this is set up with two swing arms. So I have the left swing arm is the dual jerry can mount. I have a double water 5-gallon drum basically here on the right side, and then of course I think they're called Wavian gas canisters, and this is on the left side, and these are both empty. I threw them in here just today. And the tire mount is pretty awesome. The only thing we did not get to do yet is wire in the license plate light. So there is a small light behind this piece of paper here that I have up for privacy reasons, and that did not get wired. But ultimately, I think this rear bumper looks freaking awesome. It is relatively easy to get the swing arms out, although opening the trunk is obviously a bit of a chore now. But again, remember, this is not my daily driver. Now, the one thing is you can see that Greenie is stooping a little bit low compared to what it was with the factory bumper, but I still feel that I have a pretty good amount of clearance there. I'm probably looking about 4 inches of clearance. I haven't had any issues rolling around. We'll see if that changes when I get the Victory 4x4 roof rack. I'm really happy at this point that I got a aluminum skid plate from Victory 4x4 instead of steel. I think the aluminum's going to hold up just fine, and I'm not going to have to worry about too much weight. I also did not get a chance yet to throw in my pod lights, but luckily on the rear bumper, you can actually get to those pretty easily from the rear portion. Why did it take 13 hours, you might ask? Well, my friends, we have those two bolts right there, and those are the ones that were ultimately stuck. And you guys heard me mention that we had to go get different parts and things. We ended up taking almost 5 hours to get those two bolts out. I don't know what Toyota uses for those bolts, but Jesus, they were some of the strongest steel bolts I have ever seen. They were so rusted, so corroded, there was truly nothing left. And ultimately, there's a small welded-on nut to the frame that broke free. And once those broke free, we ran into another dilemma, which was, okay, so that was the one threaded piece that we needed to get up into. And we were trying to figure out solutions. We ended up just going with one of the small nuts that has teeth on the back of it to try to stop it from spinning, because again, you don't really have access to that spot. So we needed to fish through the nut into the frame, lightly thread in the bolt, and we got it in there. And ultimately, that's where the vlogging stopped, and we ended up going from 9:30 in the morning to about 10:20 at night. I left, which is absolutely insane. It's so stressful to do a job like this 45 minutes away at your friend's house, because once you kind of make that commitment to remove the rear bumper, there's not much going back. Now, Victory 4x4 was pretty good. I wish they just had a paper instruction manual, because I can't tell you how frustrating it is watching a video instruction that is skipping over a lot of very crucial spots, and you're in the middle of a freezing day, hour 8 of trying to get this thing together, and you just want to be able to have a piece of paper that says, okay, this bolt goes here, that bolt goes here. I think that would be really worth it. It is not terribly difficult to get this on once the rear bumper is off, but man, if you have issues in the rear bumper with any rusted spots, it's going to be a really bad time. Now, as far as the swing outs go, these are relatively easy to get to. So you have these handles underneath here. They do come with rubber, but I haven't installed those yet. It's just so cold that I decided to wait on that. It does have a stop that you kind of feel it go into right there, and that stops the tire from hitting the car itself. And you can get a lot of really cool like table fold outs and things for that, and it's relatively easy to get to. One thing I did not mention is last night when we were working on this, it got down to probably about 17 degrees without wind chill, and it was horrendously cold. So I knew it wasn't going to get any warmer. We're December 1st right now, as I said earlier in the vlog, so it needed to get done, but it was absolutely horrendous. But again, we are looking pretty good. I'm pretty excited about that. And this kind of wraps up the major upgrades to Greenie for right now. I got to do the roof rack. I'll film that, of course, and the skid plate. But these two, the front and rear bumper, were the two major things. Now, what's on the docket for the future, probably spring, is new suspension and also maybe new updated brakes. I know there's a lot of conversions out there where you can get Tundra brakes to work on the 4Runner. And just with the added weight, it's probably a good idea to have an upgraded amount of brakes. But ultimately, this thing still drives great, amazingly, with all this stuff on here. I think the Falcon Wild Peaks really help out with that. And just kind of just the smoothness of the ride. But this thing, God, I want to drive this every day, which is crazy because I love my TRD Pro, but I mean, there's just something like this car is a part of me after struggling for a total of the front and rear bumper of almost 24 hours to get these things on. It's really freaking cool. I'm sure if you live in Arizona, you don't live in a rust belt, this thing would, take 5 minutes to unscrew bolts and put the new ones on, but this is what happens when you're in a Rust Belt area and you want to work on a 99 car like this. So, it is what it is. But thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, stay tuned for more great content coming soon.